Have you ever heard of Japanese history explained by a Japanese? This movie is the one. This channel includes sessions of Japanese history for people who are interested in Japan. What do you think when you hear history of Japan? Many people might think about samurai, shogun, and Murasaki Shikibu. For Japanese people, World War II is one of the largest events. I'd like to explain how World War II is taught in Japan. World War II is called Pacific War. How Pacific War started? During World War I, Japan was rich. Do you know why? Because Europe was destroyed and all sales orders came to Japan. However, after World War I, when Europe recovered in 1920s, Japan faced depression because of decrease of sales orders and too much investment so far. In this situation, what do you think Japan intended? In 1930s, Japan thought of expansion in China to recover the depression. At the same time, foreign people in China were attacked by local military. The attacks were also reported in Japan, and people expected Japanese military to correspond to the situation. In such context, Japanese army conducted camouflage work and invaded north part of China. It was called Manchurian Incident. Japan was blamed for the incident and left League of Nations. Do you think Japan stopped invasion in China? The answer is no. In latter half of 1930s, military of China and Japan started fight, and it became Japan-China War. The United States and Great Britain supported China as they did not like Japan to expand its territory in China. They earned a lot in China then. In 1940s, Japan could not win Japan-China War and started negotiation with the United States to keep its interests in Japan. However, the United States did not allow it and stopped supply of oil for Japan. Japan should have been facing loss of employment by 20 million people. Then Japan intended to move toward Southeast China for oil. Do you think Japan and countries in Southeast Asia fought each other? The answer is no. In Southeast Asia, countries were occupied by the US, Great Britain, and Netherlands. Japan declared war against the US, Great Britain, and started Pacific War in 1942. How Pacific War proceeded? Initially, Japan was successful in Pacific War. Great Britain, the United States, and Netherlands lost their territories. However, in latter half, Japan could not win important naval battles against the United States, and finally, Japan surrendered in 1945. How Pacific War closed? Do you know how and when Pacific War closed? It was 1945. On 10th March 1945, bombing of Tokyo started. It was done by the United States. On 26th March, Battle of Okinawa started. This was very hot fight. On 6th and 9th August, atomic bombs were dropped over the citizens of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Because of the atomic bombs, Japan thought about surrender, and on 14th August, government of Japan decided to surrender and accepted Potsdam Declaration. This is the history of Pacific War. The United States and Japan seriously fought each other, and now we are friends each other. I respect Americans. I lived in Singapore when I was in secondary and high school. I know how Pacific War is thought there. It is different from ours. This movie shows just our perspective, but I hope you know how Japanese people regard it now.